Has this ever been you? You're doing your makeup and you're trying out some new makeup trends, and by the time you're done with your makeup, you're looking in the mirror and you're just like, this is very much not me. I look way overly trendy, and you just can't figure out how it went wrong, so you just decide that the trend is not for you. But in today's video, we're going to talk about how to wear trends without feeling too trendy. We're going to talk about why you feel so trendy when you're trying out new makeup looks. And we're essentially talking about how to play around with makeup trends while remaining authentically you. And to me, that is the real key here. I've come up with some tips for you all, and I also have come up with a formula that has never steered me wrong. So let's start there. It's actually comprised of 3 different elements, and I call it my way of calculated experimentation. I think that makeup should be fun. We should be able to experiment. We should be able to try out new trends if we want to. Here is where I think a lot of people go wrong. You are trying out too many things at once, whether you realize it or not. We don't need to change every element of our makeup routine to try a trend. So typically a makeup trend is comprised of 3 different elements. We have a color, we have a formula, and then we have the placement of the makeup itself, application. At most, if you're trying out a new makeup trend, try to change 1 or 2 of these elements. You do not need to change all 3. For example, if there is a color that everyone is going crazy over, for me, it has been red blush. I can't get enough of it. Try wearing the red blush in a placement and in a formula that you already know you enjoy. So rather than going with red blush in the kind of boyfriend blush placement that a lot of people are wearing, which is like kind of on the lower cheek. It's a very like youthful kind of look, very Renaissance painting. Rather than wearing the red blush and then applying it in the very trendy way, maybe try just applying it in the way that you typically would apply your blush. That way you really get a sense of whether or not you enjoy the color. Or let's say that there's a formula that everyone is going crazy about. One formula that comes to mind are the Milk Makeup, like the jelly blushes, the jelly tints that came out earlier this year. If you want to play with a formula that you just have not used before, it makes a lot of sense to me to go with a color that you know you already enjoy so that you have a real gauge on whether you like the formula or not. I think oftentimes with these trendy makeup items or trendy makeup looks, we're changing all 3 of these elements at once, and then we're kind of just getting frustrated by it. In the process, we're losing a little bit of our authentic makeup style and our authentic look. So what I did in today's video is I wanted to give you a real life example of a makeup trend. Granted, I think that this makeup trend is pretty manufactured. It is the pomegranate makeup look that has been going around. And I did my version of the pomegranate makeup look. And the first thing I did with this look is I broke down the actual elements of the makeup. That way I could actually identify what I liked about it. This is something that feels like should be kind of at the top of our mind. Sometimes we look at a makeup trend and we're not even quite sure of why we enjoy it. And the more clear we become on what is making us gravitate towards a makeup trend or a trendy makeup product, the more I think successful we'll be at actually executing it. So for example, we have the pomegranate girl makeup trend. Probably most notably is wearing a very kind of jammy berry color onto the cheeks and over onto the nose. I've even seen it go up onto the temples as well as the chin. It's a very blush heavy look. It also incorporates freckles across the cheeks and onto the nose. And I've seen people go very heavy with the freckles and very light with the freckles. But yeah, whether or not they're real freckles or faux freckles, there's freckles. And lastly, we have a berry lip. Most often I've seen the berry lip executed using the same product on the cheeks and the lips. So a very soft kind of blotted berry look. I switched it up and made sure that, again, it was reading very authentic to me. So let me show you what I did. First of all, let's talk about faux freckles. Faux freckles are very difficult to pull off, you guys. At least that's coming from me. I think they can immediately read very trendy, and I think that they can be difficult to execute. So what I did, instead of doing the faux freckles, I used my freckle pen to highlight any of the freckles that I already have. So that way I'm truly remaining authentically me. I'm just, highlighting the freckles that I already have, but I'm still kind of achieving a more freckly appearance. I don't have to really fake the freckles necessarily. Next, we have the jammy looking cheek color on the cheeks and over onto the nose. I already love putting my blush onto my cheeks and onto the nose, so for me, this felt very authentic. So I didn't really change that element. I actually used the Cheek Kiss liquid blush from Milani in the shade Berry Smooch. If you are looking to try out this trend, we'll talk more about investment pieces for trends and whether or not you should invest, etc. But I will say, sometimes you don't have to spend a lot of money to try a makeup trend. This is a very affordable product and it is an absolutely beautiful formula. And lastly, we have the berry lip. For me personally, I wanted the berry lip to be a little bit more vibrant. I find that I haven't worn like a berry shade in a while and I really wanted to kind of play around with it. But I also wanted to make the lines a little bit more crisp. I didn't want this to be a completely blotted lip. What I did was I actually used a bit of a nudish lip pencil. It's a little bit warmer, which for me makes a berry work a little bit better on my warm skin tone. So again, we can adjust based on our personal preferences, based on our skin tone, our skin type, to make trends better work for us. Side note, just have to mention this. I will leave all of the products that are on my face and all the products I used for this makeup look down below, but I just gotta tell you guys, the Moisture Surge Lip Hydro Plump Treatment from Clinique, I've used this twice now and I'm kind of blown away. My lips have been super dry. This is not only immediately comforting, but I feel like it's healed my lips incredibly quickly. I'm kind of blown away by it. So I just haven't heard anyone talk about this, so I just had to mention it. So that's a real example of this kind of base formula. You don't need to change the color, the placement, as well as the formula all at once. But for tip 1 and 2, and this is something that we've been talking about, but just to quickly reiterate, be realistic and be selective when you are going into these makeup trends. Another example of this is the siren eyes trend. For me personally, I have very deep set eyes. So if I put a lot of black liner on the inner corners of my eyes and also all around in the waterline and in the tight line, my eyes will immediately look very deep set and very small. That's not necessarily a bad thing. And again, like the siren eyes is, I think, easier to pull off when you have very large eyes. But here's the thing, is it just doesn't make me feel my best. And it also just doesn't feel authentically me. I would opt for just a softer wing on the outer corner. That way I can kind of play up and elongate my eyes the way that the siren eyes trend is trying to do, but in a way that feels more authentically me. And again, it's about breaking down the trend and then borrowing pieces from it in a way that feels very authentic. Ironically, during the siren eyes trend, people were doing half their face with the siren eye, and the other half of their face with a more doe eye look. And again, the same thing applies to the doe eye. For me personally, I think I can pull off a kind of doe eye or a more rounded eye look a little bit easier because it feels closer to what I normally do, but it goes both ways. I think if you're putting a lot of white eyeliner in your waterline to try and open up your eyes, I personally think on some people it can look very jarring and distracting. Another tip I would give you guys is to think about your lifestyle as well. There are some trends that are really fun. Again, these stronger, more graphic eye looks. But if you're considering investing a lot of money into trying a trend and you know on an everyday basis you're not going to be wearing a ton of eye makeup, it's something I would be wary of. And that brings us to tip number 3. Always good to have a good base down and a timeless makeup bag. I just did a video on this, on how to build a timeless makeup collection. A collection of timeless makeup items makes it so much easier to be able to dabble in more trendy looks or trendy formulas because you already have that base down that you know you can depend on. I go as far to say that if you feel like your makeup bag currently isn't very timeless, or you feel like you're always itching to buy a new makeup product, I would kind of break down your makeup bag. I'd definitely go check out my latest video, but I'd also break down your makeup bag and see if you're buying a lot of trendy makeup items, because sometimes we have so many trendy makeup items that we don't really have that secure, dependable base down of items, and our overall look can really reflect that. I have a tip within a tip. This is kind of like a pro tip. Having a very basic understanding of your personal style is really key when it comes to this. And if you guys would like me to do a video on how I found my own personal makeup style, if you want to have me give you like my tips and tricks on how to find your own personal makeup style, if you want to nail it down, let me know. I'd be happy to do that video. 2 points though that I made in that video is that you really need to discover and embrace what makes you feel your best. And also, especially when it comes to trends, don't be so quick to forget the items that did not work for you. When we go back and remind ourselves of trends that have previously not worked well for us, I think it's not only a way to consistently remain authentic to yourself, but I think it can ultimately like save you some cash. It can save you some money. Here is an example that I have for you guys from my own personal makeup journey. I don't know if you guys remember when everyone was trying out the reverse eyeliner trend. For me personally, I thought it looked incredible. I also love the idea of playing around with top heavy makeup and then like reversing it. But I should have known that someone that is trying to kind of conceal her dark circles, like it was not going to work well for my personal makeup style, but I tried it out anyway, and I did change some of the elements. I subscribed to the formula I'm talking about. I added some warmer colors that felt a little bit softer. The formula of them, so rather than going with a very graphic liquid liner on the lower lash line, I went with something a little bit softer. Granted, still heavy, but softer in terms of the opaqueness. I kept the placement the same. And is it a bad look? I mean, I think someone could argue that it is. Someone could argue that it looks good. Either way, no matter what, it just does not feel authentically me. Tip number 4 that I have for you all is to overall consider the quality of how a lot of these trendy makeup items will live in your collection. I know we've talked a lot about trendy makeup looks, but a lot of trends in the makeup world are also just products or color products. For example, like the baby pink viral blushes. I would just say consider how some of these trendy makeup items that you're buying to either recreate a trend or the makeup product itself is a trend. Consider how they will live in your collection. Do you think you're going to use it all the time? Or is this more of an item that you'll just play with occasionally? I think it's okay to incorporate some trendy makeup items into your makeup bag, kind of on a periodic level to just keep things fresh, keep things fun. And honestly, I think it's okay to want to play around with trends on a budget as well. Like I let you guys know, this is 10 bucks. You can achieve the pomegranate girl blush look at an affordable price point. You just need a good quality formula. I like to kind of put this into perspective. We are only human. Makeup is supposed to be fun. There is so much shame being built up and put on, especially women, all of the time about, shaming them because they want to try a makeup trend and they don't want to spend a lot of money on it. And for me personally, that just doesn't sit right with me, especially when you consider the world that we're living in, all of the societal pressure. At the end of the day, I think makeup should be fun. It should feel authentically you. Just in case like you guys were wondering about where I stand on that, I think that there's nothing wrong with saving a little bit of money. I don't think you need to buy the Chanel Viral Pink Blush if you can get it at the drugstore at a cheaper price point, especially if you do have a feeling that it's not going to work for you. However, I would also ask the question in tandem with this about why, again, you are trying the trend. What is it about the makeup trend that you like? Or what kind of void is that trend filling in like your makeup look, your signature look, or your makeup bag? So for example, I personally think that this kind of berry blush look with the lip, this just very monochromatic berry look, was reminding me that I have been wearing red, orange, sunburnt blush, basically, for so long, and I can't even remember the last time I put on a berry blush. So incorporating a color that I haven't used in a long time back into what is already pretty much my signature makeup look feels very authentically me, and it makes sense. But sometimes we pull in trends because our kind of like authentic signature makeup look, like we're missing something, a piece of that, that we just need to go back and kind of dial in a little bit. And that again brings me to something I think I've already started talking about, tip number 5, which is pair a trendy makeup item or a trendy makeup placement formula. Take it and put it into your signature makeup look. This is a really, really easy way to try out a new makeup trend. This is very similar to the thing I was talking about with makeup formulas, which is, if you want to buy the Milk Makeup Jelly Tint, go with the color you know you already love and put it in the place that you normally wear blush. This also helps with the kind of like familiarity of the makeup look. I think it just sometimes can make it a little bit more digestible for us. Again, if you change too many things at once, sometimes you can look at yourself in the mirror and be like, whoa, like, who is that? Especially with a makeup item like the Milk Makeup Jelly Tints, those are pretty pigmented products. So having a color that you're already used to on the eyes, I think can kind of alleviate that tension. Those are the ways that I think you can wear trends while staying authentically you, and that is my formula for doing it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will leave all the products that I talked about in today's video down below. I'll also leave my how to build a timeless makeup bag video down below in case you guys are interested. But overall, thank you guys so much for being here. I would love to have you back if you found value in this video. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you all in my next one.